Okay, so now we're at the last part for some strange disturbances on Aungier Street. Whose own bedroom, we asked in a breath. Why, his, the old judge, Judge Horrocks. To be sure, God rest his soul. And she looked fearfully round. Amen, I muttered. But did he die there? Die there? No, not quite there. She said, sure, but not it over the banister. He hung himself, the old sinner. God to be merciful to us all, and was not in the alcove. They found the candles of the skipping rope. They found the handles of the skipping rope cut off, and the knife where he was setting the cord, God bless us, to hang himself with. It was the housekeeper's daughter owned the rope. My mother often told me that the child never throve after and used to be starting up of her sleep and screeching in the night. The nighttime wide dreams and frights that come in her. And they said how it was the spirit of the old judge that was tormenting her, and she used to be roaring and yelling out to hold back the big old fellow with the crooked neck. And then she'd screech, "Oh, my master, the master, he's stamping at me and beckoning to me, mother, darling, don't let me go." And so the poor creature died at last. The poor creature died at last. The doctors said it was water on the brain, for it was all they could say. How long ago was all this? I asked. Oh, then, how would I know? She answered. But it must be a wonderful long time ago, for the housekeeper was an old woman with a pipe in her mouth and not a tooth left, and better nor 80 years old. When my mother was first married, and they said she was a rail buxom, fine dressed woman. When the old judge come to his inn, and indeed my mother's not far from 80 years old herself. This day, and what made it worse for the unnatural old villain, God rest his soul, a frightened the little girl out of the world the way he did, was what was mostly thought and believed to everyone. My mother say how the poor creature was his own child, for he was by all accounts an old villain every way, and the hangingest judge that ever was known in Ireland or ground. From what you said about the danger of sleeping in that bedroom, said I suppose there were there were stories about the ghost having appeared there to others. Well, there was things said, queer things, surely, she answered, as it seemed with some reluctance. And why would not there? Sure was it not up in the same room he slept for more than 20 years? And was it not in the alcove he got the rope ready, that done his own business at last, the way he had done many a better man's in his lifetime? And was not the body lying in the same bed after death, and put in the coffin there too, and carried out to his grave from it in Pather's churchyard after the coroner was done? But there was quite stories. My mother has them all, and about how one Nicholas Spate got into trouble in the head of it. And what did they say of this Nicholas Spate? I asked. Oh, for that matter, it's soon told, she answered, and she certainly did relate a strange story, which is piqued my curiosity that I took occasion to visit the ancient lady, her mother, for whom I learned many very curious particulars indeed. I am tempted to tell the tale, but my fingers are weary, and I must defer it. But if you wish to hear it another time, I shall do my best. When we had heard the strange tale I have not told you, we put the or two further question to her about the alleged spectral visitations to which the house had ever since the death of the wicked old judge been subjected. No one ever had luck in it. She told us there was always cross accidents, sudden deaths, and short times in it. The first that took it was a family. I forgot their name, but at any rate, there was two young ladies and their papa. He was about 60 and a stout, healthy gentleman, as you'd wish to see at that age. Well, he slept in that unlucky bedroom and got between us and harm. Sure enough, he was found dead one morning, half out of the bed, with his head as black as a sloe and swelled like a pudding, hanging down near the floor. It was a fit. They said he was as dead as a mackerel, and so he could not say what it was. But the old judge was all sure that it was nothing at all but the old judge. God bless us, that frightened him out of his senses and his life together. Some time after, there was a rich old maiden lady took the house. I don't know which room she slept in, but she lived alone, and at any rate, one morning the servants, going down early to their work, found her sitting in the passage stairs, shivering and talking to herself, quite mad, and never a word more could any of them or her friends get from her ever afterward. But don't ask me to go, for I promised to wait for him. They never made out from her who it was she meant by him. But of course, those that knew all about the old house were at no loss for the meaning of all that happened to her. Then afterwards, when the house was let out in lodging, there was Mickey Byron that took the same room with his wife and three little children. And sure, I heard Miss Byron yet myself telling how the children used to be lifted up in the bed at night. She could not see by what means, and how they were starting and screeching every hour, just all as the housekeeper's little girl that died, till a last one night. Poor Mickey was a drop in him, the way he used now and again. And what do you think? In the middle of the night, he thought he heard a noise on the stairs, and being in liquor, nothing less. I do him, but out here he must go himself to see what was wrong. Well, after that, all she ever heard of him was himself saying, "Oh God," in a tumble that shook the very house. And there, sure enough, he was lying on the lower stairs under the lobby, with his neck smashed and doubled under him, where he was flung over the banisters. Then the handmaid added, "I'll go down to the lane and send up Joe Gavy to pack up the rest of the tapings and bring all the things across to your new lodgings." And so we all sallied out together, each of us breathing more freely, I have no doubt, as we crossed that ill-omened threshold for the last time. Now I may add thus much in compliance, that the immoral usage of the realm of fiction, which sees the hero not only through his adventures but fairly out of the world, you must have perceived that what the flesh, blood, and bone hero of romance proper is to the regular compounder of fiction, this old house of brick, wood, and mortar is to the humble records of this true tale. I therefore relate, as in duty bound, and catastrophe which ultimately befell it, which way simple this, that about 2 years subsequently to my story, it was taken by a quack doctor who called himself Baron Dulsturf, and filled the parlor windows with bottles and indescribable horrors preserved in brandy, and the newspapers with the usual grandiloquent and mendacious advertisements. This gentleman, among his virtues, did not reckon sobriety. And one night, before being overcome with such wine, he set fire to his bedchambers, partially burning himself, and totally consumed the house. It was afterwards rebuilt, and for a time an undertaker established himself in the premises. I have now told you my own and Tom's adventures, together with some valuable collateral particulars, and having acquitted myself of my engagement, I wish you a very good night and pleasant dreams. So basically, anybody that lived inside this house where this judge had hung himself has ended up petrified to death, almost, or scared out of their wits and completely killed by the amount of fear. Or he's killed them by shoving them down the steps, flinging them over the banisters, and etc. Now we are going to read the miniature next. It's by J.Y. Ackerman, and it's from 1853. So we're going to read that next. I will let you guys go, and I will see you back for the next one.